Okay. Hello, everyone. It is Friday again, and it's felt like it's been like a month since we've done a live stream. It's been a busy week, but thankfully Friday is here. Welcome to the Nutmeg Tavern. We got Ryan back on duty.
Hello.
Behind the bar, and on the other side of the camera, there is Aaron on the console making the video happen. And then in the question seat is Kyle. So
that's me. Hello.
Make those questions good so he can find solid questions.
Oh, they're good.
And wow, what's Ryan's working on a drink today? What are we working on?
We're gonna have old fashions.
Oh, old fashions.
We're gonna get some bourbon.
So that's great. Make mine small, Ryan.
It's not even my birthday.
Extra strong coming right up.
What's the time period for an old fashioned?
The first time that they're referenced is 1806.
1806.
But they're believed to have been around quite a bit before then.
Cool.
And I'll look up the exact publication in a little while.
Okay,
I'll let you know
good.
what that is.
Good. So Ryan's back there working on old fashions. Hopefully mine's going to be that big. What else we got going on today, Ryan? We've got so we've had a busy week in a lot of different things. The calendar processing. We've been working on the DVD collection 12. We've also been shooting lots of videos this week. In fact, it's been action packed.
Yeah, we're on the heels of meeting a lot of folks at Mrs. Sinowah and Feast as well.
Just got back from Mrs. Sinowah on the Feast, so it's like catch your breath and. You know, I get to stay this week at home, and then we're gone again shooting videos next weekend. But it gets this time of year, and you just have to do it. You got to get out there and shoot videos because it's going to be winter time, and then I'm not going to want to go outside and, well, I'm not going to want to shoot a lot of videos outside, but it's fun anyway. Even shooting videos outside, as long as you got a fire close by.
Hey, real quick, be careful about hitting the table on this so we can get that mic up a little bit. It's kind of...
You mean to touch it a little?
We can
so let me adjust this. 1 second. Come on. Boy, there.
There we go.
So I want to say hi to Carol and Frank if they're out there. Also, Rick and Hillary might be out there. Hello, Rick and Hillary. Who knows who else is out there watching? A lot of times when we were at the event this weekend or last weekend, folks were saying, "Oh, we've been checking out the live stream." So, hi to everyone that we met last weekend. It's so much fun to interact with people, and sometimes we get to interact with a lot of viewers on the weekend when we're out. So it was a lot of fun meeting all you guys out there. Should we get some questions in? What do you think?
Yeah, let's go right into the questions.
What do you got, Kyle?
All right. Well, the first question is, did provincial soldiers or even militiamen ever practice their marksmanship? Oh, my gosh. We're trying to ask questions around here.
Practice
A
marksmanship.
little rooted glamorous.
It depends. It depends on the situation and the kind of soldiering that you're doing. If it's regular line soldiers that are lined up and they're shooting with muskets and then marksmanship, it really isn't an important part of what they're doing. They need to learn how to drill and how to shoot rapidly. Like twice in a minute, 3 times in a minute if you're really good. So they have to get really good at their drill, but aiming really isn't important. It's everybody point your muskets that direction and pull the trigger. But if you're in a rifleman situation, well, they're going to be much more skilled and they care about their marksmanship. Their muskets are rifled and they're actually intend on hitting something in particular. So that's kind of where you're going to go with with a topic like that. But standard old muskets, no, you're not really going to work that hard at actually hitting a target.
How do I clean and care for cheesecloth?
Clean and care for cheesecloth, and I'm guessing they're using it in cheese, in making cheeses. I'm guessing
probably like that.
Yep.
Because sometimes you'll have the question that's similar to that, which has to do with pudding cloths or pudding bags. So you're cooking food in these bags, and they get covered with suet and other things, and they get hard to clean. also the cheesecloths are going to be very similar to that, but I'm not super versed on actually what's going on with cheesecloth when you're using it to make cheese. I haven't dealt with that particularly, so I don't have a good answer with that. With pudding cloths, you want to make sure that they don't have any soapiness when you use them the second time. Probably the same thing's true. If you're going to clean a cheesecloth, you're going to wash it, you want to use a mild soap. You want to make sure that that is all out of the cloth, that it's perfectly rinsed so that it doesn't bring any soapiness into what you're going to be cooking next with it.
How much of the 18th century culture still influences the 21st century American culture?
I think a great portion of it, more than we might sort of connect with. Even something as simple as a three-piece suit, that is right out of the 18th century. Gentlemen would always have a waistcoat underneath their coat, and they would be wearing that all the time. That's part of their proper garments. And so the idea of a three-piece suit, that's sort of right out of the 18th century. And there are probably other things that would, if I thought about it, I could sort of dredge them up. But a lot of the standard things we do are outgrowths of what was typical in the 18th century. Now, it may have been part of even earlier culture too, but so much of what we do is directly related to what it was like in the 18th century in that sort of way. Not sort of sure exactly how to answer that.
Any advice for spouses that might not be as excited about reenacting as you are?
A lot of times food is the best connector for that. There have been a lot of folks I've talked to where, the man of the family he wanted to go out and camping and all that good stuff, and the wives weren't all that interested. And then when it came time to, I want to have this kind of food or that kind of food, and then all of a sudden, they got interested. I think a lot of the problem tends to be, well, where do I fit into this? How can I be a fun part of this and not just be hanging around at loose ends? People don't want that. Carol Jarbo. Whoa.
Yeah, finish your thought before you start drinking that.
Yeah, before I might not be able to answer anything after I take a sip of that. Carol Jarbo had a great point in the Getting Started series. I'm not sure whether it was which episode it was, but she was talking about early on. Frank was doing a preacher, and she wanted to be interacting with that. But she thought that being a preacher's wife in that setting was just intensely boring. It's like, your job is to sit in the corner and, knit or something. That didn't intrigue her or make her very interested at all. It's like, I'll go along and do that, but I'm not getting engaged with this. And so you need to find something that truly engages that person in something they're interested in. And when it came time to come up with a different persona for her to do, that's when she got very, very interested, something that really connected with what she wanted to do. And then it was, yes, I'm all in on this. And other people have talked about food being a great way to do that. Researching food, developing foods that are good for the events, proper period foods. That's one of those great segues. But there could be any number of similar kinds of interests that would get people going.
I'm gonna do. Well, do you want to try the drink first before I do donations?
Yeah.
We gotta see you try this.
So, an old fashioned. I am totally unfamiliar with old fashions, but it's orange.
I think you drink it really fast.
Well, that orange is there for you specifically, John, because I know that you're not always drinking heavy whiskey drinks. So there's a lot of whiskey in there. So
let's go.
Come Bottoms up.
No.
Oop, going back in.
There we go. Yeah. Maybe I did okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's heavy on the whiskey.
It is. Yep.
Let's just say that. Anyway.
All right. I'll do some donations. But I'm glad we got to see you drink it.
Yeah. Me too.
That was special. Okay, $4.99 from Jake Eastman. $4.99, not
Thank
$500.
you. No. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah. Hello and good afternoon. Today is my 30th birthday.
Yeah,
I want
happy
to-
birthday!
Happy birthday. Want to express my thanks for the inspiration you provided on this channel. No problem. Thank you for watching.
I'm glad you're inspired by what we do here. It's always great to hear people, watching the videos and getting something out of them beyond I was entertained for 5 minutes. So thank you.
Hey, thank you for spending some of your birthday with us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
happy birthday.
yeah, that is cool.
30. Ooh.
I'd send
I'm
you
closing in on that.
an old fashioned if I could.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. 30 was great. 30s are better than 20s. Don't worry
Really?
about that.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what this needs? You know what this needs?
Little nutmeg?
Yeah.
Okay. $20 from William. Thank you.
Thank you, William.
I live in Ohio and do 680 Viking reenactment.
Yeah.
Do you know where in the Cleveland area I can find a group to get started in this kind of reenactment? Is this kind as in what we do?
18th century, I'm guessing. So
right.
he said Cleveland area?
Cleveland, yeah. We're neighbors.
Yeah. I am not sure, but
Dude, I can
Hey,
smell
Ohio
that
friends, why don't you get in the chat if
right.
Yeah,
If there's anybody in the chat watching, please pop into that. I would, if you've got any ideas, now's the time.
Yep. And then 200 Danish krones, I believe. So I
Yeah.
think it's like $30, whatever.
Okay.
From Mithril Chew.
Okay, Mithril, thank you.
Thank
yeah,
you.
appreciate that. Will you do Christmas themed videos this year? Hopefully.
We are
I'd say
working on
hopefully.
that.
Yeah, we got Michael Dragoo working on a little
Yeah.
bit of
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So good old Ben Franklin, he'll be here in person.
Yeah, Michael, if you're watching, you're on the spot now.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't ruin Christmas, Michael.
Yeah.
That's all I got right now. For
Okay, good.
donations. Thanks, everyone. We
Thank
can
you,
get
yes.
back
Right.
to questions if
While
there's
we're
anything else.
while we're here, let's talk about Patreon really quick because I've got a bunch of new Patreon folks here on the list for this week. So a lot of people support us on Patreon with just a little bit of money each month. It's kind of a an ongoing way that people like to support us, and that's really one of the great ways that we can go to particular events and afford to go to places to shoot videos. You help make that happen. So Crimson King, let's see, Sean DeHaan, Frosty, Jake Eastman, Thomas Powell, Aaron Perez, Jason Stevens, Spirit Family, Bryce Mickler, Matthew Tidster, Kayla May, and Mike Clifton, all new this week. Thank you guys for your support on Patreon. It's super. Let's do a couple more questions.
Cheers.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. There you go.
Kyle and I'll share.
Don't drink all that at once.
So that's your side, that's mine.
Okay. Was there anything that changed the way people lived back then, like, say, the internet did for the recent generations?
There are societal upheavals going on within the 18th century. It's one of the important reasons why we concentrate on that time period. Like any time period, we look at these, societal, upheavals and changes, and we certainly have some of that going on in the 18th century. We have clashes of culture that are going on, obviously, with what's happening with Native Americans, or the different European nations coming in, and we're the battlefield right here, happening right there in the 18th century. But we also had this change from agricultural to industrial when the Industrial Revolution happens in the early 19th century. Huge changes are occurring in that time period, as well as this crazy change of people moving into the frontier and what's happening with that. That is so much different than what was happening in Europe at the same time. So the 18th century is very important to look at what kind of changes are happening and how people reacted to them and what the outcome was, so that we know what's happening with our world today.
Hey, man, dude, this whiskey.
Is that,
Aaron's back here dying.
I wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready.
No, I haven't had whiskey in a long time. Oh.
Yeah, what is this, like 90% or something?
Yes.
it's good whiskey.
It's orange.
Good stuff. All right. Next question. You've done a lot of videos about Dutch oven cooking. They're some of my favorites. Might you have any knowledge or info about the use and care of a cast iron tea kettle?
Cast iron tea kettles. I guess it really depends on whether you're using a cast iron tea kettle just to heat water or using it to brew tea in. And I mean, obviously, if you're just heating up water in it, it's kind of you interact with that pot a little bit differently. All you really need to do is clean it out occasionally. I don't know that you really need to season it at all, but what you'll get is sort of a buildup of whatever's in your water. Around here, you'll build up with lime and all kinds of weirdness after a long period of time. You have to basically wash it out with a mild acid so that it eats those all away and gives you a nice clean interior again. But if you're brewing tea in it, then the best thing to do is to not do anything. You let those layers of tea build up in there, and it gives you, better flavor. You don't really season it except with the tea itself. But I've never done too much of that. Usually, I brew either right in my cup or in a ceramic teapot. So I don't know how to answer it beyond that.
What were international trade relations like with Britain and the U.S. in the early 1800s?
I'm not sure. I don't have a lot to say specifically on. Nothing's popping into my head about something that I would. Yeah, I'm not sure how I would answer that, except that I guess the question has to do more with not what the official relations are, but what do the individual nations think about trading with each other. And certainly after the Revolution and War of 1812, you have these issues of, are the people interested in interacting commercially all that much? They're still importing things back and forth, but they're leery of using products from that place. Just like if we were at war with a nation, or not weren't on very good terms with them. It's like, do I really want to buy my tea from XYZ? So there's certainly some of that kind of issue popping up in the journals and people talking about buying things in the 18th century. Although I still think the trade was going on unless they were strictly at war, basically.
Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these old fashions.
Yeah.
Everybody has one. Everybody's tasted it. What do you guys think?
I like it.
It's got just enough of that orange there to sort of cover up the total whiskey smell when you're trying to drink it, and so yeah, it's really.
So Aaron, how'd you feel about it?
I mean, I'm not a whiskey drinker,
After he
but it
got
was
down.
really good. I mean, as far as for what it was. It was very good.
So typically for me, I like bourbon quite a bit, and I normally drink it neat, and usually making a cocktail of it is just too sweet for me. But this one is not too sweet.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it probably needs a little more sweetness.
Right. So, no, and I totally expect that. So this one there was a brown sugar syrup. It was a cup of brown sugar with 2 cups of water and a pinch of salt, and simmer that down to a syrup. And you only use a 1/4 ounce of that to 4 ounces of bourbon. And then finish off with a couple dashes of bitters and some orange zest in the squeeze.
And half a gallon of water then.
But if you guys are wanting to try this, that's the recipe. So there you
Go
go.
over it one more time, because
The simple syrup is you make the syrup with a cup of brown sugar and 2 cups of water, a pinch of salt. Then you use a 1/4 ounce to 4 ounces of bourbon, with 3 to 4 dashes of bitters and some orange zest.
Okay.
Did that make sense? Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think
I don't do the normal cooking episode, so I don't know if I'm doing this right, John.
Yeah. Well,
I think it
You're
worked
not.
out.
keep trying. Keep trying.
I totally think it worked out. Let me get some donations real quick. People keep donating, and we appreciate it very much. Okay, $5 from Blake
Thank you,
Labory.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, guys. Thank you. $9.99 from Julie Esper, I believe is her name.
Julie, yes, thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you for all of your work. Many of us would enjoy seeing your seamstresses and tailors and any craftspeople you know who do weaving and tatting, etc.
Sure.
Yeah, we definitely want to do one with a seamstress. We've been so swamped.
We were thinking about having some in here during the live stream. So
yeah, that's definitely on the list of.
I would make
things
them
to
work while we were.
Gee.
Okay, €5 from Timothy Keys. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Timothy.
My 1-year-old son dances to Jim's Red Pants every morning. Much love to Rick and Hillary. Definitely. Much love to Rick.
They're
and
probably
Hillary.
listening right now. Thank
Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
we got to spend quite a bit of time with them
Yeah.
over the weekend. That was
you.
great.
We saw them both at the feast and at Mrs. Cinnamon. It's always great to spend time with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hillary was really sweet because my son fell out of a tree into the river, and she came to his rescue.
Which
He
one?
climbed on a branch that was out over the river, and then it broke underneath him.
No way.
Yeah, unfortunately, he landed on a log on the bank before he rolled into the river.
Right, right. And then he hit a log in the river, too.
But he's okay, and Hillary made sure of it. So
Good.
thank you, Hillary.
Just another reason to love Rick and Hillary.
That's right.
And then $10 from David. Are unlined copper cookware safe to cook in, or were they all tin lined?
They were not all tin lined. Now, are they safe to cook in? That's a real question. It depends on, number one, the food you're cooking in there, and what's going on with a copper pot and a brass pot. So brass skillets were very popular in the 17th century. Copper cookware was popular in the 17th century and 18th century. The real issue isn't the copper itself, but it's copper salts. What you get when you see verdigris, that weird green, white stuff that corrodes copper. That's the poison stuff that you don't want in your food. Something like, say, copper sulfate. That's bad too. Of course, they would use that as a bread. They put that in bread to make it whiter. It was a poison, but it makes the bread whiter. Well, it's what happens when you get corrosion on copper. And if you cook anything acidic in that, of course, it dissolves that and puts it right into the food. And so if your copper was bright and shiny and you weren't cooking acidic foods in it, and you cooked it and cooked the food in and you took it out right away, you don't have a problem. But if the food sat in there any period of time, it might get some of that corrosion in there, and you would get that copper poison effect. Or if it was acidic in any way and it ate up some of that corrosion, it's just like, well, yeah, my food's cleaning out my pot. Well, yeah, it's giving you all the copper, poison. You don't want that. So that's one of the reasons why in the 18th century they start to tin those things, and those brass pots fall out of favor, and cast iron sort of replaces them, because that's not going to poison you, at least not the same way. So the brass cookware goes away, the copper stuff gets lined, and one of the reasons why the copper stuff gets lined is because someone was noticing that their soldiers were getting poisoned. The soldiers weren't doing a good enough job cleaning their copperware, and so let's tin line it and not poison our soldiers, because we know they're never going to clean their stuff properly anyway.
So how much of this do we think they understood? Or it's just like, oh, well, if they cook in that, they're dying, so we're not going to do it that way. I mean,
yeah, it's sort of half and half, right? There's a certain amount of the population, that always understands, that seems to always understand what's actually happening with any of these things, and then there's the great unwashed masses that just sort of, well, yeah, Jimmy died, so we're not going to do that anymore.
Right.
So, I think there are scientific minds, or let's say thoughtful minds at the time, that had the right idea. Maybe they didn't know exactly why, but they had the idea. Like some people seem to know exactly what was going on with scurvy fairly early on. And then the vast majority of people, we don't have no idea. All these people are croaking from scurvy. So,
and the verdigris is also that like really pretty bright green paint, right?
Right.
That process.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Cool. That's some good information.
All right.
We answered that sufficiently. I'm not being sarcastic. That was fascinating, actually.
He means it. Philly, he does.
I really do. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, that was great information.
Well, that was.
More questions. All right, here we go. Loved your recent wow. Loved your recent authenticity videos. What can followers do to help with that mission?
I don't know.
So that's really good information.
You guys got any other?
That's a great
Have you got
question.
any? So you going to chime in on that? What did you think, Kyle?
Blindsided by that question.
How do they donate?
Oh, well, there you go. There's that. Yeah.
Are you thinking something that's more than monetary?
Yeah.
I'm wondering.
Well, if you got
Well, I
more
always
on
go
that,
directly to money, you know. So
yeah.
just-
If you want to comment more on that in the comment section, if you got some ideas on that particular question,
Is that question related to the video that you were talking about?
I think
After
experiencing
Feast?
it. I think it's experiencing it. I think that's what they're going for there.
I mean, it would be awesome to hear, some because we as with reenacting, we have to go deeper and deeper to get that feeling, but folks that don't reenact, it'd be awesome to hear some of what gives them that connection to history.
Right, or what sort of experience do you think I should be looking for? I guess is another question,
Yeah, sure.
right?
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. I also think that, like, just in the comments on YouTube, seeing people excited about that idea is super encouraging. Just, oh yeah, we get what you're saying, and we can't wait to see more. We're along for the ride. I think that's super.
Yeah. So on
That's
that
super
topic, let's talk about. Was it
What we-
Wednesday?
Wednesday?
What day was it? We were out with Eric.
That was Tuesday.
Was it Tuesday?
Who even knows?
Are
Maybe
we-
it was. No, it was Wednesday. Pretty sure it was Wednesday.
He's really messing with me now. So,
It was one of those midweek days. Who
right.
knows?
So one of those days in the last 5 days. Looking for those experiences. And looking for those times, we had a great. It was going to be Monday's video, but it's not going to be Monday's video now because something else happened. So we're going to have a different video on Monday. But we had a tremendous video with Eric Vostein. He's a local friend here who specializes in Native American studies, and one of his specialties is dugout canoes. We had a great video with that, and I really got to experience the dugout canoe experience, which I haven't had before, which is wonderful. So that was one of those opportunities that you just don't get any time. And it was a great, wonderful fall day,
Oh, yeah.
And I went out alone part of the time. Part of the time I had Aaron in there. He's with the camera, worried
that
about
was
dumping
scary.
it over the side. It was great.
Well, what's amazing is
Yeah.
in any other canoe, I would have been terrified holding a camera. This canoe, you could stand up and like rock it and jump around. And obviously you could flip it if you tried hard enough, but it barely moved.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Although, oddly enough, Eric gave me a book to study up on it, and there are a lot of interesting historical references, and they talked about them being very, very tippy. So there's
Maybe he's just the best.
Well,
maybe
They were probably very concerned also with the weight of this thing that they had to carry around. So they're probably
they didn't carry them around.
Oh, they didn't.
No.
Okay.
No, it's a kind of canoe that you leave someplace and it's like, oh, I know where that canoe is.
I see.
We use it to cross the lake or the
Well,
river.
and
It's going to be one.
Speaking of that, I mean, we get down there and it's like, where is it?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I got to go underwater and get it.
Yeah, I got
you'll see that.
my canoe stowed underwater here. I'll bring
pretty
it out
awesome.
for you. So
Yeah.
it's a great video. That'll probably be
A week from Monday.
Yeah, a week from
Pretty
Monday.
sure. Yeah.
And
There's more stuff after that.
yeah,
that's
we're going to
pretty
start a whole
crazy.
canoe
I had
series.
one of those experiences today. Actually, yeah.
Out there working on it.
Yes, right.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And it was like, it's funny because you can have them.
Yeah, in this.
Right, and it doesn't really matter what's going on around you. Like Aaron was in my face with a camera when it happened, but it still happened, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I kind of had a similar experience over the weekend at Mississinawa. We got there early in the morning, and everything was ready. And I went for a walk, and I had my pipe in my mouth and music was playing and people were cooking and getting ready for the day. And I was like, man.
Mississinawa is a really good event for that. The feast, not so much, but Mississinawa is a great event for it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so basically it's, with that video a few Wednesdays ago, we're really trying to bring that into the videos with not necessarily like, hey, we're going to make a dugout canoe because it looks cool, but it's like, no, we really, like, why do we want to do this?
Right. And we want to have that experience, not just a simple, this is exactly how you do it, step 1, 2, 3,
right.
But here's the really feeling about why.
Well, and as we go, I mean, one thing that you could really do to help us with that is let us know how we're doing. It's like it's like, no, go further. Let us know.
Yeah,
let us know as we go.
Especially the videos we've been doing recently, we're stretching way out, kind of beyond our comfort level at times, experimenting with a lot of new things. Okay, I'm going to stop drinking that. Experimenting.
See, I was just pouring more in myself.
Yeah. Experimenting with a lot of those kinds of things, and so it's important to get the feedback to say, yeah, you're headed in the right direction, or no, you're not headed in the right direction. So thank you for your feedback in that way. And that's what's so special about what's going on with YouTube and the fact that you can give us that feedback. The guys in big network TV and all that good stuff, they don't get that kind of feedback the same way. So,
but if you work in big network TV, give us a call.
Yeah.
Give us right now. That'd be great.
Monday's video is going to be
collaboration.
Yeah, we're collaborating again with another channel, so you'll see what it is.
So make sure to watch on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Make sure to watch on Monday.
Yeah, I think that we've been 5 minutes without a question. Kyle, you got anything?
Yeah.
in there?
I've got tons of questions.
Let's go.
All right. Would people in the 18th century taverns have worn their hats while indoors?
Yes. Okay. Next.
All right. I really like your show. I would really like if you could email me your hardtack recipe. Is there a good place
Actually,
to find
we have an article on savoring the past about hardtack. Yeah. So I would look at, if you go to our website, go down to the blogs, there's savoring the past, and that's where you'll find hardtack.
Yeah, the search engine in that.
But you're going to want to call it Ship's Biscuits.
There you go.
That's how you'll find it.
Right. And
yeah, the search engine's tricky.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, it's really super simple, because it's, get that standard, say, unbleached flour, maybe just a little bit of salt, mix it in with water until that dough gets into a nice stiff consistency. You're done. Bake it. That's it. That's all there is to it. It's very, very simple, and it's baked at a very low temperature. You're not trying to cook this. You're more like trying to dry this thing out. So it's cooked at 250 degrees for an hour or whatever it takes, and it's going to turn into this rock, which is exactly what you're looking for. This isn't something that you want to say, oh, this is a dainty biscuit that I'm going to eat. Nothing like this. This is I'm going to smash this up with a hammer and cook with it. It's really more of an ingredient than it is a food that you eat just ready to eat. It is really intended for that.
Will it hurt to bake a boiled pudding in the oven for a time if one takes it out of the water too early?
No, I don't think it's gonna do that. As long as it solidifies all the way, so that it's not liquid in the center anymore, you're okay, good to go. And if you want to cook it more than that, then the other way to deal with that is to slice it up and fry it in butter. Can't go wrong there. And that's what they would a lot of times do. You'd take this boiled pudding that was, a month old or two, that's like the hunter's pudding. Oh, I'm going to make this, and then like a month from now, we're going to eat it. So you'd open it up there. Hopefully it wasn't all moldy. You'd slice this guy up. If it was moldy, you just slice that mold off. You slice it up, pop it in the pan and fry it, and then it makes this wonderful, good for breakfast or whatever. So it's, you can do it like that.
How do you clean suet off of your kitchen? Pudding cloths, boiling pots, etc. I feel like it covers everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, be careful with that.
Yeah, so do not Never pour anything like hot suet down your sink, or it will solidify there and it will plug it up forever, and you'll have to use just like dynamite to get it out of your drains. So you don't want that in your drains. What I do, of course, I live out in the country. If ever I'm dealing with something like suet and it's a cleanup and I've got a lot of suet there that's floating on the water, I actually go outside and I dump that so that grease doesn't go down the drain, because that can cause a lot of problems. Why it doesn't cause us a lot of problems when we eat it, I have no idea. But you want to cook that, or you want to clean that in really hot water and dump that cleaning water outside.
What's your favorite turn of phrase or word of expression from the 18th century that we no longer use today?
I think potato trap is a good term. Shut your potato trap. That's a good funny one. There's a lot of very, very funny and interesting terms that are used in the 18th century, and the problem really as a sort of an experiential experiment, we really should sort of be going through those as a vocabulary word of the day and start to use them in our daily language, so we can bring back all those great 18th century euphemisms and use them in our day-to-day language. We can do that here at work.
We do the slang words on
Facebook,
and they get pretty good response. And there's some really funny ones.
Yeah, there's some good ones. There's a whole dictionary of the vulgar tongue that you can find. I think it's from 1805, full of just hilarious euphemisms from the 18th century.
So we have an Instagram contest. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, Instagram contest. Every week we go through the Instagram feed, and I was through it just like yesterday, looking for the Townsend's hashtag, looking for pictures of recipes or merch or events, anything that's historical based. Just stick a Townsend's hashtag on there, and we go through the feed each week and we pick a winner out, and we send them a gift certificate or whatever wild and crazy thing we happen to have lying around. Who's the winner this week, Ryan?
It's Scott Maria.
Which picture was that this week?
It was. I saw that you liked it. It was that spooky looking cabin picture.
Okay.
Which really cool picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, is it up, Aaron?
It's
Did I
up.
say the name right?
Scott Marissa,
excuse me.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Sorry,
Great. And Ryan, have you already DM'd him?
No,
he will.
but
Ryan will.
I think it's actually Marissa Scott.
Okay.
Scott.
Whichever way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Ryan will get in touch with you.
I will.
Thank you for participating, and thank everyone. I want to thank everyone who does that. If you're interested in getting involved, or you've done it before but you haven't won, keep trying. Thank you so much.
I think it's really cool that a lot of folks that have won are still doing it.
Yeah,
There's a lot of cool photos.
Yeah,
on there.
it's a lot of fun to watch.
And then maybe we should talk about why we won't be here next Friday.
Are we not going to be here next Friday? That's right.
Yeah.
We're going to be gone next Friday. We're going to be down shooting more videos, more immersive, let's do it kind of videos. What are we going to talk about?
Well,
should I explain more than that?
Maybe, and I'm not sure what the signal's like down there. We can try to do a live stream. I don't know if it'll work.
We're going to be in the backwoods, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do they even have internet in Kentucky?
We're going to Kentucky where the bourbon flows like honey.
That man needs another drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, we're gonna be trekking with some of our friends, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah. So we're really excited about that, and that should be a lot of fun. And hopefully, we'll come back with some incredible footage.
Yeah, someone said immersive hunting. Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it's going to be.
Paul, we're working on something for you.
Yeah,
We
Paul
can't make any
McKenzie.
promises, but we're working on
He
something.
said he almost promised us.
Yes, he said, I think 100%.
I think he did. I think it was 100%.
Get ready, Paul.
Yeah, so we'll see what we get.
I want to do some donations right quick. And a currency came in that I'd never seen before, and I had to Google it.
What was it?
A won.
Okay.
Korea,
Yeah.
Yeah.
2,000 won.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
From
very
Lee.
much.
Yeah, thank you. Love your videos. Thank you, Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Lee.
so much. $10 from Michael Sigler.
Michael.
Thank you.
Yep. Love it when my work schedule allows me to watch the live stream. Keep up the good work. That's awesome.
We got to do something about this work thing.
Right.
Yeah.
See,
We were talking about that
when I'm
today.
at work, I get to be part of the live stream. I don't see why you guys can't either. That
Yeah,
doesn't make any
exactly.
sense
It
to
should
me.
be part of your work.
And then $10 from Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Love all of your videos. I'm sitting in Arizona. Will you be doing any Thanksgiving recipes?
We have a Thanksgiving series. I'm not sure how I would touch that up with more than what we've already done.
That was like the definitive recipes, you know.
Yeah,
I don't know what else.
What
you
are
add
there,
to
like
it.
7 videos in that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a
5 or 6.
wonderful. It was they were all out of Amelia Simmons's cookbook, which has some just great Thanksgiving recipes stuck right in there, and it's just a tiny little cookbook. But yeah, it's a great series. So I would go back and check that out, and I'll think about if there's anything else that really fits.
I mean, I guess we could always make another bird.
Yeah, we can always cook another turkey. I mean,
Oh, we have a bird coming up.
yes, we do.
Yeah.
And then €2 again from Timothy Keys. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy.
Thank you, Timothy.
I got 2 on gas for Kentucky. Oh, there you go. He's pitching in $2 for
Oh
your-
yeah. Thank
wow.
you so
€2.
much. Perfect. Yes.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Well, that's all I got for now.
Okay. Good. What do we got, Kyle?
All right. Could you bring, or if you could bring back one thing from the 18th century, what would it be?
Canoes.
Bring back one thing from the 18th
They still
century.
have canoes to this day, Aaron.
Bring back.
Real canoes.
Lots and lots and lots of tobacco. If I could bring back a Ryan-sized portion of tobacco,
Wow.
that's what I would do.
Yeah, they didn't have
big
those
portion.
semi trailers back then.
You'd have to put that on a boat and float it up the Mississippi or something like that.
I think I would go back for a long rifle.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one thing.
Yeah, or maybe some really cool piece of pottery, but I think a long rifle is quintessential
That's true.
in its craftsmanship and in its usefulness in the time period. It's this full mix of art and utility, and I think they were thinking about that. Some things we consider art today were completely utility in the time period, and they really weren't concerned about art when they were making it, but we consider it art because it is art in a way. But a lot of these rifles that were being made were both of that, and they realized that at the time, and so maybe that's where I would go.
So you would go for the fancy,
I'm never one for the full-on fancy,
Okay.
but the subtle fancy, yeah.
Okay.
Somebody said manners, and I don't think they saw the Pope Night video.
Yeah, I don't know if they had all the manners we would want them to have, especially these rude and clamorous
Yep.
Americans.
Yeah. Rowdy
Welcome
boys.
to the Nutmeg Tavern. I'll make you any drink you like.
Oh, boy.
And then drop it on the floor.
Make sure he waters down your old-fashioned.
That old fashioned got me.
Did it?
Yeah.
It
You
burned.
only took one drink out
I
of it.
know. I'm a lightweight.
How have Hessians influenced the United States?
Hessians are a massive influence that I don't think we really realize. There's, a portion of these Hessians. What was it? I wish I had the number off the top of my head. Too much old-fashioned. Probably 20,000. It could be as much as 50,000. Sorry, numbers aren't there in my head right this second. But all these Hessian troops come over to the United States for the Revolutionary War. And they don't all go home. And some of them, obviously some of them fell in battle, but there were a great number that just didn't go home because they wanted to stay here. And I think that's actually kind of an important thing that, that we kind of miss or not think about. Now, some of them went back home, definitely. They spent the whole war here and they, marched back home. They put them back on a ship, and at the end they were back in Germany. But it was a completely different life. If you can imagine being a Hessian soldier and you didn't really have a choice. You were, you're just like, well, a lot of these soldiers, they weren't in the army by choice. And then once you're in the army, it was like, we're going to send you off across the seas to fight. And that's not your choice at all. And then you sort of had this opportunity to maybe not go back home. And it is a completely different place than where they came from. And they had to make that choice. Do I want to live in this, do I want to go back home, or do I want to stay here and make a new life? And I mean, it sounds cliched, but it's not in a way. It is what happened to a certain quantity of those soldiers.
Have you had a chance to look at the Hessian's book that we carry very much?
Oh, yeah. I've read the whole thing, and it's an excellent read.
Okay.
It was written in the 19th century, but an excellent book that really gives you the overview of what where those soldiers came from, some of the story about how they ended up in the army. It's like, well, I was traveling from one town to the other, and I'm in the army. It's just, oh, you're a new guy here in town. Guess what? You're going to be in the army. So it's excellent book and not a difficult read at all.
John, have you ever thought about being a history teacher?
No.
Okay.
I don't know how I could be more of a history teacher than I am.
Oh.
I don't
so
know.
awesome.
I don't know what to tell you. And it's not because
I'd like to apologize to all of the actual history teachers out there.
No, because it's not. I'm not built to be in a classroom.
No, it's the living side of it. Is
Right, and it's I don't know how to say it beyond that.
Okay. Is there any 18th century roasted turkey or turkey gravy recipes?
There's certainly roasted turkey recipes, and we have the Amelia Simmons episode where we roast a turkey and a chicken, but it's roasted in a turkey-like manner, if you can say that, in that Thanksgiving series. Gravy, there's not a specific kind of gravy episode, and their thoughts of gravy were a little different than ours. But maybe I'm changing my mind on that. I've recently dug into a couple cookbooks that kind of point toward a little bit more like gravy, like we think it. But I'm working on that concept right now.
Hey, let me jump in here real quick because we're not really coming to a close, but I don't want to forget this. So the Old Fashioned was the first documented cocktail, and that was in 1806 in the Balance and Columbian Repository from Hudson, New York. That's where it was documented.
Okay.
I said I would
Good.
say that. I just didn't
Good.
want to forget.
You just wanted to get there. Good. 1806.
All right, question for the bartender.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of flip? It's
Yes,
an 18th century.
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've got flip on our future.
We do. We got flip and we got smash and we got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, the problem is I've got to be able to talk through these live streams, so I'm going to have him make faux versions of these for me to drink here. It's like, that's
faux
really
flip.
good.
John he doesn't drink much alcohol and his tolerance isn't built up. And
I can't feel my lips right now, if you want to know.
But yeah, flip's on its way.
How do you clean an earthenware oven?
How do you clean an earthenware oven? Do they mean
Like a mud oven?
A mud oven, or do they mean a different kind of oven?
Well, when I think earthenware, I think of the cob oven that you built.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay, so the earthenware ovens, you really don't clean. The fire cleans it out as well as mopping the floor of it. So you really don't have an issue with cleaning them per se. Obviously, there's a certain amount of smoke and soot that's going to flavor your food on purpose, so you don't want to clean that out. But generally, bringing it up to the proper heat where it burns all the soot off the inside of your oven, so it's not black on the inside anymore, but it's turned gray, then it's up to the proper heat and it's burnt all that soot off. Then you let it cool down enough, you put the door on it. That kind of evens the heat all the way out in the oven. You right after, say, 10 or 15 minutes of letting that oven kind of settle, go in there with a mop to cool the floor off a little bit so that you don't burn the bottom of whatever you're baking in there. And then, hey, it's ready to go. No cleaning required.
All right, we've only got a few minutes left, so let's get through some questions quickly.
Okay, I
Quick
can
answers.
do it. I can go fast.
Was pumpkin a major food source?
Yes.
Did a variation of haggis travel to the States?
No.
How many days a year would a typical American class or middle class American spend not working? And did people take weekends off?
Man, that word typical is really hard.
Sunday is the day you take off. It's the Lord's Day. The rest of them you're working.
Were there women traders, trappers, hunters on the frontier?
There were definitely women traders, or let's say women tavern owners is one of the best, most interesting documented women working in that kind of facility. Trappers, no. What was the other one? Traders? Hunters, no. Not really.
I like to flint knap. Where can I find the tools for flint knapping?
They use a lot of antler and other kinds of stones, but I don't have a good answer beyond that.
Did they use ice for refrigeration in the 18th century?
Yes.
What are your recommendations for keeping young people involved in living history?
Well, so far,
Get them involved.
I've found that, I've got several children, and you just let them go.
Yeah. They connect with what they're interested in.
I think that if you try to direct them too much, they'll lose their interest there.
Right.
But if you just let them go and have fun,
Yeah.
sometimes they'll take breaks and they'll fall in rivers, and then
Sometimes they'll fall out of
Yeah.
trees.
But there's
other
so
times,
many.
Reese was also helping us chop a big log today.
Right.
So
There's so many great skills and things to learn, and you kind of let them free flow on those things. If you point them in, and you're too hard and fast in the direction you think they ought to be going, you let their own interests kind of bring them along.
Last question. What did an average family have to do to get ready for winter?
Everything. Can you imagine getting all your firewood situated, and you need a lot of firewood. Getting all your preserved foods. Fall comes, and all the harvesting needs to be done at once, and you need to prep all the kinds of vessels and the fodder for your animals and all. I mean, it's like, how can you? It's just like today.
Well, yeah. What I was just gonna say is when you put timelines on things, that's when it feels like, oh wow, I'm in that moment. Because
right.
You were talking about in Cresswell's journal, it was 4 men, 4 days for a canoe, and I'm chopping on that thing thinking, oh my gosh, there's no way.
Yeah, right.
And so we think that now it's like prepping for winter. I get nervous now. I do wait too long.
Yeah,
and
don't we
I
all?
bet you they were probably better at preparing, but
Right.
when you put a timeline on things like that, that's when you're really able to get there and be like, man, this was crazy for them.
Yeah, winter is coming. So the prep is incredible, and I feel the anxiety, and it's weird. There was even a thing my wife was talking about, a piece she was reading, 19th century author, talking about how the idea of fall and autumn changes in the 19th century. And writers previous to the 19th century talked about fall being a dreary and dull time of year because everybody's, all the plants go away and they stop turning green, and everybody has to do a whole bunch of work prepping for winter, and then winter comes and it's even worse. And in the 19th century, we get this romanticized version, which I liked. I think fall is the greatest season of the year, but they get this romanticized view of, oh, isn't it great? We walk through the leaves, and
the leaves are crunchy. It's wonderful.
But a lot of that stress goes away in the 19th century, where it's still there in the 18th century. They have to do all this work, and it gets much more difficult. So there is this big shift in the idea of what's happening during the fall and getting ready for winter through the 18th, 19th, and certainly today. What do we have to do to get ready for winter? In reality, I was like, I put my air conditioner away.
We live surrounded by Amish folk.
Yeah.
And so, they're still way more modern than 18th century, but
Right.
I'm watching them scramble right now.
Yeah, they're getting ready, and I feel it. Out on the property, there's always a billion things to do and 100 videos to shoot at the same time. So,
Let me do donations. We got to blitz through these.
Go.
There's like 10. £2 from Travis.
Thank you, Travis.
I live in Essex, UK. I love your videos.
Thank you.
Essex.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
$2 from Michael Rose. Don't get too tipsy on Kentucky bourbon. Too late.
Too late.
$5 from SM. Thanks again for answering my question. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you for the donation.
Thank you.
10 euro from Cyril NOYM63. Greetings from Belgium. I'm currently camping, having luck with 4G, so I can see this.
Excellent.
Great.
How do people stay warm at night when camping out in the frontier? Maybe I can try them. It's cold tonight. And then $10 from Keltoid5. Thank
Keltoid
you.
5.
Did you get a chance to read that 3,500-year-old Nutmeg article?
Yes, I did. Thank you for the article.
Okay. And then staying warm at night, and then we'll head out.
Yeah, staying warm at night. Lots of wool blankets. That's my favorite thing.
Fire helps a lot.
Fire. I don't know. It's smoky and it keeps you from breathing when you get up in the morning. I'm a fan of wool blankets myself, and the more the better. Under, on top, whenever possible. And if you only have one, you're going to be cold. You're going to be miserable, and that's what it was like in the 18th century.
Great. We did it.
Thank you guys so much for coming along today and, being in the Nutmeg Tavern with us. So many people ask about, it's like, can I come and see you are here. Thank you so much for joining us in the Nutmeg Tavern. Great comments, great questions. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for watching today.